Dr. McNeil, they're close.
Red Team, we're showing your position less than 100 meters from the signal. There's no data suggesting any ancient Civ development in that area.
I think they're up to something they just don't want us to know about. Some things never change around here.
There's some sort of chamber beyond this wall. Point, we need a charge here. Roger that, on my way. Okay, pack it up. We're in.
Someone didn't want this place to be found. Dr. McNeil, are you seeing this?
We have reached target and are now preparing to secure...
We're having trouble with your transmission. I need that stream brought back online now. Damn it! Can't see a thing.
Move slowly. Do you hear that sound? What the hell is that? Look at that.
Well, fuck. Greetings, dudes, dudettes, and duderinos, and welcome, my friends, to the Season of the Spook. What is the Season of the Spook? Well, as you can no doubt tell by the footage of Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil playing right now, yes. It's pretty much a month of horror games. Well, horror games in a bit, really, considering what's coming Wednesday. Which I might as well go into detail explaining because, well, considering the very atmospheric nature of Doom 3 and the fact that you probably just had a major exposition dump so you know what's going on, unless of course you weren't paying attention to the cutscenes, in which case, well, pay more attention. Yeah, Season of the Spook. What is it? And why should I care about this little first-person shooter game that does the whole bang 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 with the demons and stuff? Well, that's basically your answer. It's a bit of a horror game roulette. Horror game in quotation marks a little bit, because, yeah, Monday, you have Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil, but if you don't like that, on Wednesday you'll be seeing Resident Evil 2 conclude with Claire's scenario. And of course on Friday, if you really don't care about either of those games, we'll be tackling the other pathways of Shadow the Hedgehog. So yeah, a bit of an experiment, don't really know how well it's going to work, but as a means of getting me to cover some more games, or at least in terms of commentaries with a little bit more variety to it, well, let's see how this does. Again, this could completely fail and this will be a one-time thing, or it could continue into next year. Who knows? Maybe we ought to die before any of this happens. Listen to an audio log. Oh no wait, we don't even have any audio logs yet, we're just checking the emails. Which I guess I might as well go into. I mean, I won't exactly be showing off all of them like I did in the, regular Doom 3 portion, but I will be showing off all the audio logs. I mean, that's pretty much a given at this point. But yeah, set about, at least I think it's a year after Doom 3 happened. Yes, around about a year, a little bit after, anyway, after, Zulu team picked up the original Doom guy, we now have a replacement Doom guy. I don't really know what to call him, so we're just gonna call him Anthony Hopkins, because that's kind of what his face reminds me of for some reason. Well, I mean, a much younger Anthony Hopkins. Oh, no, am I thinking of Anthony Hopkins, or it's either him or Anthony Head? The guy I think you'd probably recognize more from, like, Buffy, I think, or possibly that one school teacher from that one Doctor Who episode. You know, the one where they turn into flying bats or whatever. Whatever, I'm getting off topic. And as you can see here, Resurrection of Evil made quite the set of improvements from Doom 3. For one thing, the Lost Souls actually resemble their classic Doom counterparts, which is pretty cool. Excuse me. And, yeah, there's just been a few design alterations. I find this game to be overall a little bit faster in terms of controls, like... I mean, you know, the big Friendly Giant edition of Doom 3 did, you know, majorly speed up the controls and make it a little bit more first-person shooter action as opposed to the horror vibe that the original Doom 3 went for, but here especially, you do notice the very, like, sped-up controls, so to speak. Yeah, it's a lot more fast-paced and frantic, which I guess does kind of speak to classic Doom mindset more than what Doom 3 initially was, but it does also undercut some of the more atmospheric horror at the same time. I don't know. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't, but I mean, on the whole, anything that I think improves the gameplay experience from an overall control standpoint can't really do any sort of harm, in my opinion. And yes, as a bit of a shocking difference from this and the original game, we're starting off in the cavern area, where we found the Cyber Demon. Except this time we now have an artifact we call the Primitive, or at least I believe Dr. McNeil will tell us. Yes, the Soul Woman on Mars is finally joining us for an adventure in space and time. Well, actually just an adventure in space. There is actually a lot of interesting story stuff that I've actually uncovered for trivia, so that should be pretty interesting. But for the time being, we have this artifact that killed a lot of people, and, well, we don't know what to do with it. And now for something that I actually really like about this Resurrection of Evil. Enjoy the cutscene. This, my friends, is called the Grab-Ass, or the Grabber. But yeah, and a weapon that's very similar to one that I think initially came up in Half-Life 2. I'm pretty sure that was developed a year before the Resurrection of Evil was, so kinda hard to tell which one came first, but yeah, you can use it to grab armor, weapons, and as you saw in the cutscene, you can use it to basically grab some of the plasma projectiles that are thrown by the imps, and that's a one-hit kill. So if you know how to use it right, the Grabber is a very immensely useful weapon. And honestly one of my personal favorites, because it can instantly kill Lost Souls when you just grab and release. Grab and release. It's like masturbation, it just feels so good to grab and release. I should probably stop filling your head with such disgusting metaphors, but yeah, the Grabber, great weapon. It's grabtastic, here. But indeed, now the atmosphere has settled in. The spookiness is coming for this October. I don't even know why I'm really singing, it's just, fun. But yeah, you might think that this is just a sort of mirrored version of what Doom 3 actually was, and that we're just going back through levels, but, no, unlike other games with 3 in their title that I could mention, Devil May Cry 3, this isn't just a mirror image of what, you know, Doom Guy initially went through. So instead, Mr. Anthony Hopkins here will be traveling through some pretty unique areas with a couple of unique bosses to fight. And I do mean unique bosses because there are 4 of them, well, you'll soon come to see as we play throughout the commentary. It's not necessarily anything that'll reinvent the wheel, but it's a sort of expansion pack that I think does... Honestly, I think it does pretty well to give Doom 3 a bit more extra content, and it's part of the reason why I guess I sort of dubbed this era of Doom the Soul Cube trilogy, in the sense that Doom 3, The Lost Mission, and, you know, Resurrection of Evil kind of feel like three-part structure, so to speak. A little bit less so the Lost Mission, since that's more of covering, you know, what happened to one of Bravo Team's members after they were attacked in the main story. But I don't know. I enjoy this for what it is, and it does, you know, give us a little bit more of what we love in Doom 3. Which we'll probably never see again, considering that Doom seems to be full-on action-packed, which I mean, I'm absolutely happy with. But, you know, Doom 3 could work as a very profitable side series, especially considering that, you know, horror games in this style aren't really around anymore, or at least, you know, with the absence of First Encounter Assault Recon. Yeah, but anyway, this is probably going to be one of the more dull chapters of the Resurrection of Evil, because it's basically just, you know, trying to get to, well, the plot, basically. I mean, we have the artifact, and as we will soon hear in the next cutscene, when, well, shortly after the boss fight, actually, yeah, Dr. McNeil is basically just going to want us to get it right to her so she can analyze it, and we can basically put a stop to Dr. Bertruger, because as you saw in the opening, we didn't exactly finish him off. Excuse me. So, yeah, while he unleashes some new hellhounds on us, yeah, we're gonna take the fight right to that wrinkly old bastard whose voice actor tragically passed away. And, you know, we'll show him what for with our demonic powers and use that artifact against him. By the way, there is actually a very, funny little parallel to another game that I really enjoy, but you won't find out what that is until you hear this guy speak right inside the office here. Just as soon as we take care of some demons, because they're all around us, and we're paranoid.
UAC has no idea what they're up against. They sent us here to die like the others. It killed everyone before we even knew what happened. We couldn't even see it. It moves so fast. No, I won't go back. No, it's still there.
Go! You'll attract them! Get the hell away from me!
Audio log for Marcus Tanner, team coordinator. We shouldn't be here. I don't think we... This dig site. We've seen structures like this before, represented in tablets sent back to Dr. McNeil. Up until now, we hadn't seen any artifacts in what must have been their original state. There seems to be some sort of defense mechanism in place, attacking those godforsaken creatures. Why did the gate open? The amount of chaos and movement within is new to all of us. All of us that are left. Our team leader didn't make it. He was pinned down by something. What it was, I can't even describe. The best bet is to seal this place up and get the hell out of here. It's happened again. I can't believe it's happened again. Lying bastards. We didn't come here for this. No! No!
I'm sure he's just fine. Just, a little bit of a, you know, I decided to scream. Releases all the negative energy out of the body. Anyway, yeah, the man in the locker who won't come out. And, anybody who's played a certain game involving Knights of the Republic of old, you'll probably understand what I mean when I say, "Hello, fishy, fishy, fishy! Can't get me in here, fishy!" Yeah, that's, hiding in a locker. That's probably not going to be the safest place, since we've seen demons tear through much stronger and sturdier stuff. But anyway, now you will soon see the power of the grabber. Assuming I can land this. There we go! See? What did I tell you? One hit kill. This weapon is just radical, dudes and dudettes. Anyway, onwards to new adventure as we come across a new enemy type that we'll be seeing right now. What is this? It is... Oh my god, it's a xenomorph! Actually, no, I believe this enemy is meant to be called a Hell Hunter. And this was actually meant to be in the final game of Doom 3, but for whatever reason it was... I think maybe a lack of time, it was cut out. But yeah, they added it back into Resurrection of Evil, and it is... to be perfectly honest, it's an enemy that I think was kind of cut efficiently. I mean, it has a very cool design, but it functions very similar to the Imp, so... not really much new there. I don't know, I mean, I suppose they could possibly add it into a later Doom game as like a nice little reference or something, but... I don't know. Design-wise, I like it, but I guess they probably could have used it as like maybe a later area to replace the Imps. You know, to show that you're getting closer to Hell and that they're much more powerful than anything that you've faced before as the regular grunts. I don't know. Something to think about, I guess.
Welcome to your death.
So, this is a boss I like to call Teleport Spam the Boss. Basically what he does is that he'll throw projectiles at you, you catch the green projectiles using the grabber, fire it at him, and he'll be taken out. Now this boss can be relatively easy to a bit of a pain in the ass because, as you can see here, he likes to teleport spam, he won't stay in the same place, and he will occasionally try to punch you as well as, you know, throwing those little plasma balls at you, which don't do as much damage. I mean, you can use his plasma balls against him to attack him, but they're pretty weak by comparison to the larger energy clusters, so yeah, just move around, try your best to hit him, and I guess just be persistent, because he can move around pretty quickly. I don't know, not the best boss fight, but an okayish one to start the game.
This fight has only just begun.
Marine. Hello, Marine? Come in, Marine. Signal strength is back to broadcast level.
Listen carefully. This isn't the first time we're facing this, but I need more information. The artifact you recovered is obviously capable of incredible power. It may also be the source of this invasion. Do whatever it takes to get the artifact to me. I'll try to contact the others. Out.
So, there's our mission. And, yeah, we're basically going to be getting a bit more of a tutorial sequence on how we're actually using the primitive, because, I mean, as we will soon see, well, as we already did see in the cutscene, as we absorb that creature's soul, yeah, we absorb the dead, and we use it to... well, it basically functions in a similar manner to Point Man's, reflex mode, or, I guess, focus from the Matrix path of Neo. You'd think it works by, like, you know, just pressing a button and holding it down so it slows down time, but no, it's basically just... You just press a button, slows down time, and you have a limited time to basically get through what you need to get through before it speeds up again. Yeah, I would not recommend going through that unless, of course, you like your Doom guy, you know, a little bit more flattened. But yeah, you only really get 3 attacks with it, or attacks, I should say. 3 charges out of it, but you need to keep on absorbing souls to keep it fueled up, because otherwise, well, yeah, that won't be working for you. And unlike the Soul Cube, it's not a weapon that you can use to really attack anybody with, so it won't give you a health restore or anything, so on the whole, while it isn't exactly as useful as I would have liked, it's a weapon that, despite having plot importance and something that will be relevant to defeating Dr Bertruger at the very end of the game, it's, I don't know. It has its significance. Although I do kind of hope for a cameo in Doom Eternal, since in Doom 2016, in one of the offices, you actually do get to see the Soul Cube in What's-Her-Face's office. I forgot what the woman's name was. I think it was... You know what? I forget, but whatever. Excuse me. I apologize if I'm coughing a lot, but that's just because I'm recovering from a cold, which I had. Which prevented me from recording some footage earlier today, because I was going to be recording for the Silent Hill 2 review. Which tells you how far back this was filmed. Well, recorded, whatever. The name keeps changing. But yeah, I don't think the slowdown mode does any extra damage either, it's just glorified slowdown, really. But yeah, it's basically more of Doom 3 of what you loved, really. You know, same sort of shooting mechanics, same sort of atmospheric horror. Well, that was, creepy, but yeah. I realized that my Doom 3 commentary was probably not the most exciting or most commentary that anybody really wanted to see in terms of games, which I completely understand, although, looking back at that commentary, though, I was a fucking depressed person, because that totally changed in the years since. Actually, it hasn't really. But whatever, it's an interesting example of a game that I think is how you can talk over an atmospheric game. You need to have a lot of material, really, and this part well, the rest of this part really doesn't really have a lot of that, because I will say that this is probably the most tedious part of the Resurrection of Evil right here. But by that same volition, however, it's not, you know, not as doom and gloom as you think, because there is a lot more interesting stuff to be found later. But again, that's also part of the reason why I included it with Season of the Spook. It's a relatively short game, and it's one that, while you will be getting in very large classes, like, you know, 40 to an hour long parts, generally, depending on how much hard drive space I have, yeah, you know, you have other games that can keep you interested if you're willing to wait an extra day or two for Wednesday and Friday. But that being said, though, I mean, I have kind of made a promise to myself to finish, you know, Doom 3, since it is one of my favourites out of the entire series, so, you know, I'm gonna see it through to the end, no matter how rambly or how often I stumble a commentary. We're finishing it, no, not necessarily tonight, but over the next couple of nights, goddammit! But yeah, I think in terms of having more interesting set pieces, though, in terms of, you know, horror stuff, you know, They Took My Baby, the mirror scene where, you know, when Doom Guy looks into the mirror, he sees us all staring back at him. Yeah, Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil doesn't quite have as many. But I think in terms of, you know, the overall plot of trying to, you know, put an end to Bertruger's schemes, I think it does a decent job, as we will see later on. And that being said, there is sort of an interesting, like, dynamic between McNeil and, you know, this Doom Marine, especially considering the fact that he has a lot more of, like, a reaction to the things around him, not necessarily in the sense of fear, but more so in the sense of he gets a bit of a sadistic pleasure out of doing what he's doing. Like, you mean, this is something that will probably become noticeable in a later cutscene, but you will see him actively start smiling at the idea of tearing shit up, so yeah, this is probably the most expressive Doom Guy we've had so far. Well, then again, with Doom Eternal isn't out just yet, so we'll have to wait and see on that, but yeah, this is the most expressive Doom protagonist that we've had so far. But other than that, though, this is probably one of the more dull portions. And yeah, they do make it a very good habit of introducing all the enemies relatively quickly, so yeah, not really too much to talk about in that aspect. In terms of anything else, though, I actually did do a bit of research into, you know, the game's development, and this was actually not developed by id Software. It was developed by a company called, I think it was Nerve Software. I don't know if it was like a subsidiary of, like, anything, or if it went defunct, but, yeah, I mean, considering what they got, this turned out pretty decently. I mean, I'm pretty sure the conversion was done by id Software when they ported it to the BFG edition, but yeah, the original version, and something I also found out, actually, is that there are actually some features that were taken out of the original game versus the BFG edition. It's stuff that we'll mainly be getting to a little bit later, in terms of, like, a little maze area and a few other different areas that were sort of changed. But yeah, I was kind of surprised to see some of it altered. Like, I mean, I know that Doom 3 did have some alterations here, you know, with the flashlight attached to the gun and all that sort of thing, but yeah, it is interesting to see that some things were changed and some things weren't. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that they, you know, considering what they did for the Lost Souls, that they didn't try bringing the classic designs of some of the other Doom enemies. I guess maybe not necessarily for the Hell Knights, since they always sort of share the whole Baron of Hell look to them, but yeah, I don't know, it would have been interesting to see some classic Pinkies running around, or, you know, something like that. But anyway, in terms of anything else significant we'll be getting to in this part, well, we'll also be getting some other new weapons as well, including one that I think should have been in the base game to begin with, but yeah, we'll be getting the Super Shotgun a little bit later, right after playing some Super Turbo Turkey Puncher 3. But yeah, also, much like last time, there really aren't too many gameplay differences. I mean, besides the slight speed up in movement and all that sort of stuff. Like, I mean, you're still checking emails to access, you know, door codes or, you know, the weapon caches, so yeah. It is actually very interesting to see how Doom 3 was structured, though, compared to the other games in the series, because I don't know, there is something about this game that I just love in terms of its mechanics. Like, I mean, it feels video gamey, but at the same time it also feels kind of natural, which is very weird because it strikes that nice balance between, like, the arcade action that Doom is known for, but also with, like, some survival horror mechanics, which, I don't know, it just sort of clicks with my brain really well. Excuse me. I don't know. Also, it's a little bit weird to see, like, Z-Sec security troopers, since you would have thought that this place would have been demons only, since, well, I mean, the facility was abandoned for, like, a year, so shouldn't there be no troopers left? I guess the explanation is that these are the troopers that came with, you know, Doom Dude and his team. But, I mean, at the same time, though, like, I don't know, asset reusal where you can, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I honestly would have thought that they would have used this opportunity to introduce maybe a few different sort of demon types to keep the enemy variety fresh. Which I guess you could arguably say they had with, you know, the Hell Hunters and, you know, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, I guess.
Marine, come in. Come in, Marine.
Dr. Cloud just contacted me, and he may be able to help. He has the recently discovered tablet ready for translation. He's missing an important section known as the primitive. It's a type of cipher key. We found the primitive years ago, but didn't understand how to use it until now. We must get the primitive from artifact storage and take it to Dr. Cloud in the Erebus labs. The tablet may be the key to understanding some of this. We are out.
So, off we go. Whee! But we can't go through the door. So then where can we go? Well, we go onwards to new adventures where we go. Through the door and into time. Wherever it is, we shall lie. I will say, though, that I really do like Resurrection of Evil for giving us more of, like, the cavern areas, because, I mean, we barely got to see any of them in the last part of Doom 3, but now they're here on full display for all to see. And, yeah, we also will be getting a little, well, not much, but a little bit more of hell from Doom 3. Yeah, again, something that does kind of bug me, but, you know, I do also appreciate is that they do give us a little bit more of the unique in 3. But at the same time, though, given the fact that it is an expansion pack, it does feel a lot of the time like it's more asset reusal than, you know, unique levels. And it's really disappointing for me, because I really did like Doom 3's design of hell the best, because, I mean, it was fire and brimstone, yes, but at the same time there was also a really weird, trippy, like, dimensional space vortex thing going about it. Which, I mean, classic Doom did have, albeit at a lower sort of graphical level. But Doom 3 was really able to sort of take the level design and really sort of twist it on itself, whereas Doom 2016, and, well, I mean, I can't say about Doom Eternal right now, but I guess it would be similar to that. It had sort of a generic sort of, you know, monster land with hellish demons and imagery, which was fine, but a little bit generic for me. I don't know. Doom 3's visual design, I think, is honestly its strongest asset, and in my opinion, it is by far the best that the series has ever given us. Well, that's, strictly speaking, that's really just sort of my opinion on the whole thing, but I don't know, Doom 3, it has the dark ambience, it has the design, and it just has a lot going for it, man. The only thing Doom 3 is really missing for me is like a heavy metal soundtrack, but apart from that, it's pretty good. And so, here we go. It's time for a puzzle in my Doom game. Perish the thought. And, yeah, those, potato things, those spiked potatoes, yeah, they are instant kills, so, don't get hit by them, otherwise, well, Anthony Hopkins will tragically pass away. Actually, I probably shouldn't say things like that, because, it'll probably turn out that Anthony Hopkins will in fact die, and, well, this commentary will become a whole lot more awkward when I start calling this man Anthony Hopkins. Although it is funny that I bring that up, because I believe Dr. Bertruger was actually based on Anthony Hopkins as a bit of a likeness. I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. I think I might have brought that up in the original commentary, actually, but yeah. Also, much like with the imps, yeah, those things are also susceptible to their own, projectile. Even though I kind of missed that, which was completely undermining my point. But yeah, I mean, it does really go to emphasize how useful the grabber is. I do kind of wish we had a little bit more weapons to play with, though. I mean, we will be getting one quite soon, but, I mean, in terms of, like, original weapons, perhaps? Like, I mean, I don't know, maybe a gun that shoots chainsaws, or bees, or, I don't know. Maybe that's just my Ratchet and Clank instinct sort of taking over and wanting more, like, unique weapons, but, I don't know. There's always fun to be had when you play with new weapons, like... actually, another example would be Enter the Matrix, actually, when you had that, like, emergency fire extinguisher gun that could, like, suffocate enemies by, like, filling their lungs with, like, all sorts of chemicals and water. I don't know, I mean, it's sadistic as fuck, but I mean, that's one way to get creative. And you're about to see an edit here because, like an idiot, I forgot to use the fucking grabber gun. Because jumping into that lift is clearly the right idea. Well, I mean, if Doomguy just sort of climbed in, he would have gotten it easy, but, I don't know. I guess, Mr. Anthony Hopkins isn't quite, the brainy sort in this context. Excuse me, my nose isn't quite clear. And, yes. Off we go. I'm scared. And yeah, shotgun enemies are ones that you need to deal with quickly because they shoot you because they're bitches. But we need not fear them again, for soon we shall come across a weapon that will smite the evil with one simple strike. And... stop laughing, Dr. B! I have nightmares! Oh, by the way, I don't know if I said this before, or if this is just my memory playing tricks on me, but, yeah, Dr. Bertruger stands for Dr. Betrayer. Or, I think it was, like, Deceiver or Betrayer. I found that out recently, thanks to a certain Germanian accomplice of mine. Which is, kind of weird. Like, I mean, in the German version of Doom 3, does that mean that people know him as Dr. Betrayer, and so talked about him, doing what he did? I mean, that's kind of like naming your lead scientist, like, Dr. Nefarious, or your leader, Admiral Bone to Pick, or General Grievance. I don't know. So why is it that fuck it, I'm not gonna do that, Mr. Blinker shit. Woo! X-rays, yeah!
Who's there?
Anyway, what is this?
Stay back. Get it.
It's okay, sir. We're here to help you. Don't worry.
I'm not okay. No, keep
Are
going.
you okay? Yeah, fuck you. Yes, we can see possessions happening in real time now, rather than before, where we basically just had to watch that guy get possessed so he could eat our soul, because he knew that the devil was real. He knows. He built his cage. That's the one that actually always weirded me out, really. Like, I mean, was he, I'm talking about the scientist that was all the way back in, like, the main game, like the one who you saw at the communications tower sending the like, trying to send a communication to Earth to warn them about the demons. Like, I mean, was he part of, like, the experiments to, you know, bring, like, Bertruger and the Maledict into, you know, the physical world? I don't really know, and, yeah, the Maledict is the name of the dragon thing that Bertruger is sort of merged with. It's either he merged with it, or it was what he always was. I don't really know, because, like, I mean, the in-game, like, documents seem to state that Bertruger was, like, you know, an average human who ended up going into hell, and I think possibly he either willingly or against his will became a part of the demon Maledict, who I guess in this case is meant to be, you know, the absolute top dog of hell, even though, you know, I think canonically the Cyber Demon was meant to be Hell's mightiest warrior. I don't know. There is actually some mythology stuff around that, in the sense that, like, the Cyber Demon was only the Cyber Demon in Doom 3 because he was dishonored in battle against, you know, the ancient Doom guy from the prophecies. I don't know, it's kind of weird, like, actually, it doesn't really go that into detail, but it is there, if you could, like, see bits and pieces of it, so maybe that's why the Maledict was seen as Hell's champion. Yeah, I don't know. It's, confusing. And we still have regular scientists and zombies here, even though they shouldn't technically be here because this base was unsafe for like a year. And I mean, you'd have to wonder who the hell would even be here because, you know, demons, this place was known to have been attacked And people didn't even like this place anyway, even before the demons invaded, so why would you even bother going here? Oh well, the UAC has always been a bit of a shady organization. Yeah, and one that doesn't care for the safety of their employees, so fuck them, I guess. But anyway, now we scour the earth in search of a way out of here, because that's what we do. It sounds like a very leery, like, dude who, like, sees something they like a donut or an attractive figure at a bar when they're completely pissed drunk and they're like, yeah, can you tell that commentating over atmospheric games is a little bit hard? Because, yeah, that's a painful lesson I learned when recording Doom 3, because you gotta keep things, interesting on an audio level. Audio? I don't even know if that's a word, but fuck it, it is now. Yeah, you gotta keep things interesting, otherwise things get boring relatively quickly. But now we don't have to worry about that, because now we are in the security office, where we will get our hands on the delicious, tasty morsel that is the Super Shotgun. That is after we have a round of Super Turbo Turkey Puncher 3! Yeah, take that, bitch. Oh, you poor soul. Anyway, I have to check in what the code is. We will now get our hands on this little piece of hotness. Oh yes, and this weapon really does live up to its power, because believe me one shot can end most regular enemies like nothing else. But of course we won't find out about that until we get the power out of here, because, well, as we all know, this part is going to be nothing more than collecting power cells, power capsules, fuck it, they're both good. Oh look, a literal monster closet. Maybe Nerve Software was in on the joke, where they were like, tee-hee, Doom 3 has repetitive scares. Yeah, Jesus. But yeah, see what I mean? I mean, it is very much a one-use item, but oh Jesus Christ. This is actually a little bit hairy, because you can barely see what the fuck you're doing, and there are demons everywhere. A very effective use of blinding your vision and making you scared as fuck, actually. I really do like this scare, it's sweet. But yeah, at the same time though, like Super Shotgun, you have to reload after every shot, but I mean, apart from that, it makes for a nice sort of, like, bazookoid sort of weapon, for the lack of a better phrase. So yeah, you'll be kicking ass in no time. But yeah, this is what I mean when I say the part is dull. It's just collecting power cells and trying to move on to the relevant parts of the base. And then we won't actually begin there for at least another part or two, because I mean, we do have another section, which was actually changed from Doom 3 in and of itself, involving a certain toxic area. It's not quite the same as like the toxic facility from the main game, where you had to reorganize stuff to make sure it was clear, but, or like, you know, the area where we fought the Mancubus and Cherubs. But I mean, it is similar enough where you do get to fight one sort of unique, like, sort of zombie enemy, and another where you know, just wander through hallways, basically. I will make sure that I have plenty to talk about in the meantime for those sorts of segments, but at the same time, though, it does show that there are moments of things being dull, but at the same time, it's the sort of thing where it's a lot better to play than it is to watch or listen to somebody talk over. Excuse me. But in this case, though, like, I mean, it is an experience nonetheless, and one that I think really does do a decent job at capturing the ambience, even if it wasn't quite as successful as the other game. Yes, thank you. I'd like to see a little bit more of, the game, please, if you would. Video editor? Hello? 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 Is this thing on? Hello? Human Fly here. Oh, goody, another audio log. Well, I'll take a breather and you can listen.
Audio log for Dr. Victor Karkov, lead science officer. I feel fairly confident that once we get the missing tablet fragment, it will confirm our belief that there is somehow a connection between what we're translating as hunters and the beacon that our excavation teams are searching for. I fear McNeil was right all along.
Well now, ain't that ducky. Anyway, we should be getting out of this area pretty soon, so on that note, actually we have plenty of time before the end, but yeah, after one last final fight against a couple more demons, we'll be at the exit and we'll be home free. But again, if Doom 3 really wasn't to your taste, well, you can look forward to Wednesday when we will have Resident Evil 2 with Claire's scenario kicking off, which I'll be recording probably the closest to the actual season that this is meant to be playing in, because I'm recording this in August, and well, basically I gotta put this in fast forward because I was meant to record this a lot earlier so I could get to Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, which I will hopefully get to in September? Please don't be wrong, future Skully? Ah, damn, sorry. But on that note, I do hope that for as rambly as this was, you did enjoy Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil and the tantalizing tastes that it holds. So on that note, I'm Skully, keep it new metal, and next time on the Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil commentary, well, we'll be heading off to the Erebus Labs. Catch you later.